President Donald Trump is intensifying the debate over parental control in education. He has signed an executive order to expand school voucher programs, proposing a shift of federal funds from public to private schools. While supporters argue this offers parents more choices, critics warn it could undermine public education. Many states have fought over this issue for many years, but Trump's approach may face pushback from both sides of the political aisle. For more, let's head to New Mexico. We're joined by Barty Scott, Deputy Economics Editor at Business Insider. Great to have you here on Ticker.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the obvious question. What's the purpose of Donald Trump's executive order regarding school voucher programs?
So I should clarify that these executive orders are asking federal agencies to prepare guidance that could determine how his ideas could be carried out. So they're not directly charging the agencies with any action at this time, except looking into them. But basically what he's proposing to do is move federal funds that are typically used for public school across the nation into these voucher programs, which allows parents to get public money to send their kid to a private school of their choice.
Just for many of us who are outside of the US, obviously, can you explain to us what the purpose is of these sorts of vouchers?
Sure. So public schools in the US are typically funded by property taxes, and a lot of students get sent to the public school with which they were zoned, around where they live. So more affluent areas take higher property taxes and their public schools are better funded. Other areas may not have as much funding. The idea behind these voucher programs are if parents are not satisfied with the public school that their kid is zoned for, they could get money from their state to send them to a school of their choice, so a private school, perhaps a religious school, perhaps a charter school, or a school outside their zone.
Just help us to understand how the redirection of federal block grants actually affects public schools.
So right now there are federal grants that will go to some of those schools I mentioned before that might not have as much funding from property taxes, so rural schools or schools in less affluent areas. And what the Trump administration is proposing that agencies look into is instead of that federal money going directly to those underfunded schools, they could go to these voucher programs instead and let parents take that money and send their kid to a private school or a different school of their choice.
And why do you think supporters believe school vouchers give parents more choice?
Some people believe that the public school system is either teaching the type of curriculum they don't want their kid to learn or aren't up to certain standards. So they like the idea of having some public funding to send their kid to a school they may agree with for whatever reason. And a lot of these voucher programs started out as programs for low-income families to give them more choice, but a lot of states now are passing these universal programs. So some of the criticism might be that a family who could afford to send their kid to private school is taking public money. So it's gotten a little cloudy in that way, but the general idea is that parents may like to have some more choice over where their kid gets to go to school.
This seems to be part, if I'm right or wrong here, do let me know, of Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans' war, essentially, on the Department of Education.
That's right. So it's a little bit different because one of the things Trump has asked the agencies to look into is directing some funds away from schools that are not teaching sort of what he calls a patriotic curriculum. However, the Department of Education doesn't actually oversee curriculum. It's not allowed to do that. That happens at the local level. So there's a few different aims going on here for him, but one is definitely to at least send the message that he wants to enforce a more patriotic curriculum in some way. And some of the experts we spoke to said that this could have like a chilling effect on schools. They may decide to change their curriculum out of a fear that they could be potentially losing out on some funding in the future.
And just talk to us about that implementation of the funding redirection. Can it happen without congressional approval?
I believe it cannot. he has to go through definitely some more hoops than just these executive orders he's been rolling out lately. So remains to be seen if this will turn into anything, but it's definitely sending a message of his vision for education in America.
Barty Scott, really appreciate your time here on Ticker. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.